Hello and welcome to episode 138 of the She Must Knit podcast. My name is Erin and thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. So it's Thursday, so I have a chance to sit down and do some chatting with you guys. Now, this isn't going to be a regular episode in terms of me, showing you what I've been working on and the progress that I've been making on certain projects. But I did mention in my last regular episode that I was planning on sitting down and going through all my work in progress bags, my languishing WIPS with you so that we could kind of get a feel for what kind of projects I have that have, I don't know, been sitting around. Some of them have lost their luster. Some of them I've just forgotten about. Some of them, I know they're there and I'll get to them eventually. I actually don't have too many. I went through my shelf, so up there next to my little stripy monkey there, that's where I kind of keep my WIP bags and also my empty bags for new projects. And I kind of pulled out all the things that had something in it, and I did have a peek so that I kind of have an idea of what we were going to be dealing with today, and there was nothing that was like, oh, I totally forgot I was working on that. All the things that I've had, some of them have been sitting for a while, like years, and some of them are just from last year. But all of them I was aware of. Like, I knew they were there. I knew they had to be dealt with eventually. I just haven't gotten around to it. But some of them are easier than others. So I'll talk about them as we go through them. And I just thought this would be fun. Everybody has, well, no, I can't say that everybody has projects, languishing WIPs, but I always enjoy when I watch podcasts and they share their languishing projects and just like the thought behind it, like what happened. What happened with that project? Because at one point, that was a shiny new project that was very exciting. And what kind of happened to make it end up in the WIP bin, right? So yeah, I thought that would be fun to sit. And then also because on my bingo card this year, my Crafty bingo card, and I usually do this every year, I have a couple of squares on there where to complete the square, I have to either frog or finish a WIP project from previous to this year. So 2023 or before, I have to finish or frog it. So that's kind of giving me the motivation to kind of go through here, go through these projects and kind of decide, okay, which ones do I think maybe I could finish this year? Are there any that we should just give up on? Are there any that, maybe I just need to do something new with? And there are a few of those. So yeah, like I said, I just thought it would be fun and sit down. If you are a long-term viewer, you might recognize a few of these. They might bring back some memories when I first shared them on the channel. But let's just pick a bag. Let's go with this one here. This is one of my bags. I have a mixture of both my Bling string bags and then also bags from other bag designers. I try not to use mine because I like to keep them for the shop. So the ones that I tend to keep are either prototypes that I was working on for a size or style, or they're flawed in some way and I couldn't sell them. So I think this was a flawed bag, but it was cheap and it's pretty cute, so I don't mind keeping it. Okay, so this is a project that I would actually like to finish. I just need to decide if I need to just like rip out what I have so far and restart, or if I think I'm going to be able to figure out where I was. So this is a sweater, and I've got, those are probably stitch markers dropping on the floor that were caught in the yarn, but that's okay. They'll just join the other bits and pieces that are on the floor, and we'll deal with that later. So this is what I have so far, and it's just that's it, a couple inches. It looks like ribbing. I think if I remember correctly, yes, you can kind of see at the top there. I was starting, see how the ribbing changes from like one by one, and then there's like, it's gone to like a thicker rib. I think I was getting set up for some cables there, but I really like this yarn. It's kind of a one of those like, oh my god, there goes another one. How many stitch markers were in this yarn? So it's kind of like one of those very floofy, I don't think it's a chain yarn. It doesn't look like a chain. It's just a very loosely plied yarn. It's got a bit of a halo. Super, super soft. And I was really excited about this pattern. I believe, what was it called? Linger Here, maybe. If I can get a picture of it, I'll put it up in the corner there. It's a pattern from one of my favorite designers that I've done a ton of projects from, Stephanie Lavin. And I started this back in 2019, I think. 2019, that year, a lot of projects just got put on the back burner, because that is when I got pregnant with Kira. And I think this was right around the time where we either found out or whatever. It was, I think it was in like the late summer, fall of 2019. And if you've ever been through the first trimester, you lose a lot of energy. You lose a lot of motivation for things, and I think that's what that was the downfall of this project. I was all excited. It's a beautiful cabled sweater. I love the yarn, and I just couldn't work on it. I just did not have the energy or the mental capacity to follow the charts and to follow everything. And it was a test knit. It's a test knit. There was a deadline. Fortunately, Stephanie is a lovely person, and I did contact her early on and just said, I don't think I'm going to be able to complete this test knit because of XYZ. She was very understanding, but I do want to actually finish the sweater. Like, I would like to have this sweater in this yarn at some point. So I just need to decide. And you know what? I probably will. That's probably the best thing to do, is just to frog what I have. It's not like I've got a whole panel of cabling done. It's just the beginning of ribbing. And while I don't find that my gauge tends to change too much, I have picked up projects years after I've started them before, and everything's worked out okay. It's probably better just to get, to have a fresh start on this one. Just to rip it out, start again, cast it back on when I'm ready to like really focus on it. So I think that one's going to be a frog, and we are going to put the yarn away. And at some point this year, I know I mentioned I really want to make another cumulus sweater. Do I want to turn that yarn into cumulus, or no? I really want that Linger Here pattern. I think it's a really pretty pattern. Okay, so this year I still want to make a cumulus. And so I don't think I'm going to be able to make 2 sweaters in 1 year. So this one might have to wait. I might have to put this on my bingo card next year. But for now, we are going to frog that yarn. We are going to put it back in the stash, and we are going to get that bag out of the WIP pile. Okay, so next we have this bag here, and I looked, there's no tag on here. I don't know who the creator of this bag is. I know I won it in some kind of Instagram contest, and I love it. It's like just the kind of colors I like with the design. It's beautiful. And in here is a project that I think I will finish this year. This is not a very old project. I did start this last year, and you might remember my little chameleon. So this one I started in order to fulfill the bingo square on last year's card that was use two PDF patterns from my library. And this is one that I bought years ago, probably 2015 or something like that. I just had never made it. I saw the pattern, I thought it was really cute. I thought, a whole like little chameleon toy would be really fun. And then I just never made it. So I had started it last year, and I have really enjoyed the pattern up to this point. It's one of those patterns that you just kind of have to follow it line by line. And the designer has some really like interesting shaping techniques to make it do all the things that it needs to do to look like a chameleon. So I have the 2 sides done, and I've joined them. You can see I have that little ridge there that goes along the back, and I've completed stuffing the tail. So I think the next part of this pattern is making the limbs. So making like the hands and the legs and stuff like that. You have to do 4 of those, and then I think you have to attach them somehow and then do the head maybe. Or maybe I was going to do the head next and then the limbs. I don't know. But I do remember that the next part was getting very fiddly, and at the time that I put this aside, I just wasn't in the mind frame to do fiddly things. I think it was in the summer, we were probably really busy, and I knew I just wasn't going to have big blocks of time where I could sit down and work on fiddly things. But it's winter now. We're in hibernation mode. Especially this past week has been super cold. I think yesterday the temperature with the wind chill was, it felt like negative 27 Celsius, I think it was. And so basically, Kira and I, like, we're in home mode. We are doing lots of activities at home, lots of Play-Doh, lots of drawing, lots of puzzles, lots of games. And we're just, yeah, she's gone out to play. But I am not a winter person. I am just not a winter person. So I do have more time during the day and in the evenings right now to knit. So I think the fate of this one, this is going to be a finished project. I really want that chameleon. I think he'll look super cute on my little shelf back there. I love the yarn that I found in my stash to make it, the whole rainbow, you know, neon rainbow. Love it. So that is going to be a finish. Okay, next. So next I have this bag here, and this is a fat squirrel bag. I think this is actually from one of the, yeah, this is one from the SSK retreats. I've never been to one of those, but I had a friend who went, and I believe she brought this back for me. Okay, this one I knew it lived on that shelf there, but I just don't know what to do with it. I have a feeling I am just gonna say goodbye to this project and just cut my losses on it. This is, it's a pair of scrappy socks. Well, it's not a pair yet. It's just like half of a sock. But I think I did this. I think I started these socks, it would have been a number of years ago, because I think I was trying to figure out something to do with the minis that I received in my advent boxes from my friends. And I had tried scarf patterns, that wasn't my thing. I had tried a shawl, that wasn't my thing. I think I had tried other blanket patterns, that wasn't my thing. I was having trouble finding something that I could kind of stick with and put my minis in and then keep up with over the month. And so I think one of my attempts was to make some scrappy socks. And you can see I got the cuff done, and I got down the leg. And I do remember enjoying these. Like, I remember enjoying working on these. It's even got my old heel. So this is before I started doing my strong heel. I think I just lost interest in it. I think just scrappy socks aren't my thing. And so it kind of got put aside, and I think I maybe moved on to something else. I don't know if that's the year that I started doing the granny stripe crochet blanket, or if I did something. I have no idea. I don't remember that far back. But I have this sock. And the problem is with this project is I don't want to finish it. Like, I have no interest in finishing either this sock. If this was the second sock, if I had a first sock and this was the second sock, I'm on the foot. I think I would push through, I would finish the foot, and I would have a pair of socks. But because this is the first sock, and I literally have no interest in doing a second sock to go with this sock. Yeah, and I don't want to rip it out, because it's not like this is solid yarn that I could just rip out. This is all scraps, and I'm someone who likes to weave in their ends as they go. So you can see there are no ends in there. So it's not even like I could rip it out and just like save the scraps. Like, that to me, I don't know, do I really want to save itty bitty scraps like that? No. So I still have a larger cake of the contrast. I think this is some Knit Picks Stroll, maybe the twinkle one. If they still make that, I don't know if they still make that. But all these little scrap bits, and then I have all these little pieces that are in the bag. I have all these little pieces that are, and just one went on the floor, but I have all these little pieces that are still in the bag. I think this is just going to be one that I throw out. Like, I'm going to take my needles out, obviously, and I think I'm just going to say goodbye to this one and just cut my losses on it. It was fun while I worked on it, but I have no desire. I have no desire to finish it. I have no desire for the finished project. I have no desire for the yarn. So I think we're just going to save this and say goodbye to that, and that will be an empty bag. And I have another ball that's going everywhere. Okay, just one second. Hold please, hold please, hold please. Okay. We've got that sorted. Okay, so the next one. This is another recent one. I know what this is. This will be finished this year. I started this late 2020. It probably wasn't late. I think it was in the summer. I started this in the summer of last year. It was after I finished, I think I was working on one of my brother's pairs of socks, and that was like my park knitting. And then once I finished that pair of socks, I was doing a whole bunch of microstripe socks, and I needed another pair of socks that was going to be easy to bring around with me to the parks. And so I cast this on. And so, and then I think once summer was over, I just kind of, yeah, I think I just stopped working on it. And then also I was trying to get some gift socks and stuff done. So this one just kind of got put aside. So this one here is a sock blank that I had from my stash. And I was just doing a vanilla pair. And I think I cast on numbers for myself. So I was intending to make these for me. I might have changed my mind on that. We'll see. But these, yeah, these are, so I have this as the contrast, and then I was just working my way down doing some vanilla socks. Now, why I say I think I've changed my mind on these, I like the colors, but I'm not like super crazy about the colors. Like I don't feel looking at this sock that I'm like, oh my goodness, these are so fun. I love them. I absolutely want these as part of my sock drawer collection, right? I don't feel that way about these. These are more like, this is a fun project that it's good to take around with me. Now, I didn't know who else I would give them to. I was like, should I give them to Dennis's mom? I was like, oh, but I've already started them, you know, with my numbers, and she is much more petite. So I was like, I don't know if they'd be too big on her. But you might remember, if you've watched for a while, that there was a number of years where I made socks for some of Avery's teachers. So I didn't make socks for her teacher last year, like not this past, like 2023, but like the year before. I didn't make socks for that teacher. I didn't make socks this past Christmas for the current teacher that she has. She's had male teachers for the last 2 years, and I just like I don't know what size to make. I mean, yeah, I could make my brother's size, but I don't, and I don't know if Avery wants to ask her male teachers like what size feet they have. So I haven't done it in about 2 years, but I think her grade 2 teacher, her grade 3 teacher, and her grade 4 teacher, I think, I made socks for Christmas. And then if they really seemed to like them, I also made them for the end of the year present as well. Well, Avery has mentioned multiple times, even up until recently, that whenever her, I think it was her 5th grade teacher, whenever her 5th grade teacher still is wearing those socks, and when she wears them to school, she will tell Avery that she is wearing her socks. So she will make sure Avery knows that she is wearing those socks currently. So not only is she still wearing them from several years ago, but she makes a point of letting Avery know that she's wearing them. And so I was like, you know what? She's not her teacher anymore. But obviously she enjoys them, and obviously she has appreciated them, and that she's, you know, going out of her way to make Avery know that she is wearing them. And I knit those socks for her based on my own numbers. So these should work for her. And so that's what I'm thinking of doing. I'm thinking I'm just going to finish this pair of socks, and when I'm done, I'm going to block them because the sock blank yarn makes it look kind of a little bumpy and uneven. So I think in this case I will block them. But I'm going to send them to school with Avery and say, hey, when you see this teacher, let her know that, you know, I appreciate the fact that she appreciates the socks that I made for her all those years ago, and I've made a new pair. So that is that project. That's going to get finished, and hopefully soon. I do have some squares on my bingo card this year for socks, and so that will count towards those. And yeah, hopefully she'll appreciate just like, you know, a surprise pair, because I don't think she's expecting to get any more socks now that she's not really Avery's teacher. So the next 2 bags, I think when I had a little peek, these projects go together. I just didn't have a bag that was big enough for all the yarn. And this project goes way back. Way back. You'll have to let me know in the comments below if you've been watching me for a while. Do you remember this project? Because this, I mean, Avery was little when I started this. She had to have been like maybe 3, maybe 4, because I remember what started this. There's so many pieces. What started this was that when she was very little, from a baby till maybe, you know, just a couple of years old. I think it's still before school. Yeah, because she would have been home with me. And she started school when she was 3.5-ish. So it had to have been when she was maybe 2, 3 years old. I would take her to a mommy and me kind of fitness classes. So there was a Pilates one, and there was just like a general aerobics one. And basically you could do a fitness class and everybody would have their little babies there, and they would just, you know, either lie there on a blanket if they were like really wee, or they would run around with the other ones if they were older. And the instructor of that class had asked me to make her daughter an owl. She had asked me to make her a blanket, and I had sent her a bunch of patterns, and the one that she chose was this owl blanket, and I'll put a little picture in the corner there so you can see what I'm talking about. And I made that for her in some acrylic yarn. It was really bright and colorful. I love how it turned out. Maybe I'll put my version up here. So that's my version there. And she absolutely loved it, and I had so much fun making it that I decided to make one for Avery. I was going to make one for her room, all nice and bright and colorful, but I wasn't just going to make it with any yarn. No, no, no. I was going to make her a hand spun one. And so right there, you know that this is like a long-term project, right? So I was using all different types of hand spun. They didn't have to be like the same colorway. I was using different colorways, and then I needed a background that would work for all of it. So I ended up spinning just bare fiber and then speckle dyeing it. Like, this has been a process, but at some point I kind of lost wind on this. I lost the motivation to keep going on this project. And at this point, I know, like, I've brought this project out several times to try and look at it, look at the pieces, try and kind of think, you know, what can I do with this? Because this isn't one like the socks that I'm willing to just throw away and be like, oh well, you know, I tried. I'm not willing to do that with this. There's a lot of hand spun yarn here. There's a lot of time invested in this. I like the yarns, but it's also because it's a piece blanket. There's a lot of pieces. It's not like I was making just like a big crochet or knit blanket that I could rip out and then use the yarn for something else. Like, it's all pieces. It's all pieces. So there's been a couple of times, like I said, that I've brought this out and I've looked at what I have, and I've tried to figure out something else to do with it. So just to give you an idea, I have a lot of these like finished owl pieces. So this is done. It's got the middle part, and then it's got the border with the little ears. So that's a finished owl piece. We've got another little owl. So I've got lots of owls. Let's see, I've got, you know, a whole bunch of little owl pieces. This is what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I guess I could rip these out, but then I'd just have a whole bunch of little hand spun scraps. And again, I'm a end weaver, so all my ends are woven in on these, and that's just going to be a pain. So I have like all these little owl pieces, and then on top of the owl pieces, there's these like little square pieces that have the hand spun. Well, it's all hand spun, but like the rainbow center, and then the contrast. So this is the bare yarn that I speckle dyed to go with all the rainbow pieces. So I have all these square pieces, all these square pieces, all these square pieces. Okay. Tons of little square pieces. And then I've started a couple of these little wedge pieces. Now, I don't have as many of these. I think I only have a handful of these wedge pieces, but these were to fill in gaps of the design. Okay, so like I said, I have no desire to now finish this blanket, like not even for Kira. I don't want to make this owl blanket anymore. But I don't want to waste these pieces. So one of the things that I thought of doing, and you can see I tried it, I think I kind of brought this out last year to give it a go, was to make 2 crochet panels, like just square panels, using what I had left of the speckle yarn, and doing like a pillow, making a pillow, and then just sewing some of these on, like applique, to make like an owl pillow. So I think that was the last idea I had that would still make use of most of the pieces, but that was still kind of achievable. But I don't think I have enough yarn for that either, because I think that's why the last time I tried this, I stopped again. Because this is a piece I have, I think I have to rip this out again if that's what I want to do. I do have a pillow form that I think I was trying to size, but I had done this piece here and then realized, I think this is all I have left, that I wasn't going to have enough to do a second piece. So then it's like, okay, well then do I just do one piece of the crochet square, and do I do a fabric background then? Like I might be able to do that. I have some fleece downstairs. I could probably do a fabric, like a fleece background, and just have the one. But then you can also see that because the bear hand spun that I speckle dyed, they didn't look the same each time I did it. And then when I was doing the blanket and it was going to be pieces all over the place, that didn't bother me. But with the crocheting, like you can see that there is a difference between this stripe here, right here it changes. And then again, it changes over here. Like this part down here is more blue, and then the part in the middle is more cream, and then this is a bit, this just the concentration of speckles a little, like you can see the difference. So it's like, okay, well then, I think I started from the middle once, and I was trying to do a square working out from the middle, from the center, and that didn't work for some reason. And then I tried doing like just straight crocheting, just to get like whatever, and that's not really working. I don't know what to do with this project. So for this one in particular, I would love any feedback, any ideas that you might have on what I can do with the yarn and the pieces to make use of them. Like I just want to make something. I don't want them to go back and live in a project bag for another 5-10 years, but I also am not willing to just kind of scrap it. I'm not willing to scrap it. So this one I need some help with. I think I'm just kind of at a standstill with it. I'm kind of stuck and I don't know what to do with it. And then finally, the last project I have is kind of similar, where I had it had a purpose. I was following a pattern. I was making something very specific, and then that plan kind of got derailed, and now I'm not 100% sure what I want to do with it. And this is in a giant bag here. And some of you, if you have been watching me for a while, you might remember this project as well. So this is a bag. I've got a whole bunch of marble chunky balls in all different colors. I've got some greens, I've got some purples, I've got all kinds of colors. And then I have some super value yarn in like a charcoal gray. And again, if this was just, I'm not bringing all that yarn out, there's stuff everywhere here. It's going to stand there. Just imagine marble chunky, lots of different colors, and a gray solid. So originally I was making this pattern here. It was like this crocheted hippo. Let me know down below if you remember when I started working on this project. And I was going to make a really big version. So I think the original version calls for either sock weight or something like that, and it's just more like a toy size. And I was going to use chunky yarn and make really big pieces. That's the other thing. Again, if this was just a project that I had to rip out and get the yarn back, that would be fine. But I have all these pieces that use the different chunky yarns. I mean, they're so pretty. But I have all these pieces, so many different pieces. And so yeah, you make all these crochet pieces and you put them together in a certain way, and then you get this crochet hippo. And when I started this project, the point of it was to make a really big one. I was probably going to sew some kind of interior structure using fabric and then stuff it with a really firm material. And it was going to be kind of like a really big hippo ottoman. And I was making this for my brother and his girlfriend at the time. This was years ago. Years ago. Because in 2019, they split up. And so that was already a while ago. But yeah, they split up in 2019. And I was kind of like, okay, now what do I do with this hippo? I don't think my brother's going to want a hippo ottoman. I think I remember asking him, hey, I have all this yarn from that project I was making, you guys. How would you feel if I turned it into a blanket? And I think he was okay with that, because like the colors are really nice, especially if I mix it with the gray. I just make like a nice, I would just do like a granny stripe blanket. The thing is all those darn pieces. So I have all these pieces. Again, I haven't woven in the ends on these. But even if I were to rip out these squares, we're looking at just like scraps of yarn, right? I don't really feel like it's worth saving. I don't think it's worth all the effort of finding all the whatevers and ripping out these squares or these pieces for scraps of yarn that I would then have to join in all together to make a larger project. I also don't know how I would incorporate, like how I would use these if I wanted to make, like, I don't know. What I'm thinking right now is with the yarn that is still in the balls, because I do think I have a fair bit of that, is to maybe hold it double, so like a strand of the Super Value, the gray charcoal Super Value, with a strand of the chunky, and do just like the granny stripe pattern that I've been doing for my Advent blanket, because that is a super easy pattern to do. And if you remember from Vlogmas, and I'm working that with 2 strands of fingering, which is making like a worsted, and that crocheted up super fast, like super fast. So if I was doing a strand of worsted and a strand of chunky together, like this would be a really fast blanket. I just don't know if I have enough with what I have to be a finished blanket. And then also, like, what do I do with all these pieces? So I am at a standstill with this project as well, but I could see myself tackling it this year. Like I think the idea of just a crochet granny stripe blanket, because I do enjoy that kind of project with chunky and worsted yarns, and it might be an opportunity to go through my worsted scrap bins and just bring in different colors. The only thing would be is if I run out of the chunky yarn. If I run out of the chunky yarn, I don't know what I would do for that, because I don't really want to buy yarn this year other than I mentioned with my Crafty bingo card, the yarn that I need for Mackenzie's blanket. I don't really want to buy like burnout, or marble chunky. I don't want to buy more. So I would really have to kind of look through my my stash and see if, you know, do I have other chunky yarns that I could blend in? I don't know, but that could be a fun project. That doesn't totally turn me off. Like I kind of want to figure this one out and do something with it and make a blanket. You know what? Even if it's a really small blanket, my brother has a cat who he absolutely adores. It could be his blanket. So maybe I'll just make whatever. I'll just do what I can, make what I can with the yarn that I have, and it ends up being a blanket for the cat. Then it ends up being a blanket for the cat. So yeah, that's that project. It's kind of, you know, on the fence, not quite sure, but I feel like that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do what I can with the yarn that it's in that bag, make a blanket of some sort, and just see what happens. Yeah, and that's it. So that is everything. Those are all the works in progress bags that I have lying around. Well, not really, like they're in a very specific spot, but that I've had over the last couple of years that I just haven't finished. Let me know. I would love to know your dirty little secrets. How many bags of unfinished projects do you have? Are you someone who tends to amass unfinished projects, like you cast stuff on and then put them aside and then not get back to them? Are you someone who has a whole bunch of sock unfinished objects? Because I know that's a thing. I don't tend to have too many of those. Let me know what you have in your UFO basket. I would love to know. But other than that, I hope you are having a wonderful day, evening, weekend, whatever you're doing. I hope you're doing all the things that bring you joy. And I will talk to you soon.